Oh, I'm live.
Yeah. It's like we're live here, guys. Let's go ahead and get these last couple of things straightened out, and then we can go ahead and get started with tonight.
We are live.
All right.
Well, we are live, aren't we?
Hey.
Well, welcome to yet another exciting episode of
Bamboozled,
where we show you how you've been lied to, tricked, bamboozled by the media and by the government and others for decades, but we're not going to take it anymore. Right here, we come out to show you where you've been bamboozled and expose the truth. Ryan, Nikki, how are you tonight?
Fantastic.
Yes,
Living in a free country.
Day.
We've got a fantastic show planned for you. Ryan, let's do your housekeeping section. Tell us what's been going on with the American Patriot Council.
Yeah, thank you for joining us again tonight on this amazing show. We have some great things lined up. As normal, we would like to ask you if you would be willing to share this show out so we can reach some more people. We're still kicked off Facebook, and at this point I don't believe we're going to be going back at any time soon. That's where we've had our largest reach. We see our YouTube channel continue to grow, Twitter as well, but we ask you guys every week if you can share this link out and invite people to come watch the show so we can reach our audience and have that broader reach. We would greatly appreciate that. The American Patriot Council, our mission is to restore and sustain a constitutional government in the United States of America. And we got a lot of work to do with each other. And I want to just thank so many people that have been engaged recently with rallies across the state of Michigan, as well as around the country. We've been helping to coordinate with many different groups, and it's taking all of us during this time in our country right now to be working together. So I just want to give a huge shout out to so many people around the country, so many different groups that are all coming together in order for us to continue to create noise around this country and stand up for America, stand up for President Donald J. Trump, and stand up for the future of our country. So thank you guys for that. We've had a few more donations come into the American Patriot Council. So I want to give a shout out to those that have donated recently. We appreciate that. All that money goes right back in to the APC, whether it's things with events or, other ways to promote. It all goes right back into this. The volunteers that we've had for the APC in so many different ways has been incredible. So thank you for continuing to donate your time as well as your money. So we got lots of things that are going to be happening in the mix. So stay tuned for all that. AmericanPatriotCouncil.org. I believe we can stick that up on there. Oh, we just had, there we go. AmericanPatriotCouncil.org. You can sign up for our email list there and stay in touch. With being shut down off social media, sometimes that's the best way to stay connected, is those email addresses and those cell phone numbers. So we got an amazing show lined up this evening. So Jason, back over to you. Why don't you get us started here on our first segment?
Yeah. So as we get ready to start with this segment, I just want to remind you, thank you again for everything, like Ryan said, and guys, we can share this by text message if we have to. Whatever it takes to get this message out, help us out with that part of it. Let's blow this thing up. There's a lot of truth that needs to be told, so let's tell it. Tonight, we're going to talk about a lot of different things. We have a few different segments that are coming, and I want to start with Kamala Harris. Who is Kamala Harris and who is Joe Biden? We'll start with Kamala. She has been a prosecutor out in California. In fact, she was attorney general out there. And so one of the things that people have asked her a lot of times, and this is a critical question, Kamala says she has a track record as a prosecutor of being tough on crime. But what I see, especially recently, is a record of actually wanting to let people out of jail. We talked a little bit about this before, but I want to bring this back up because this is important. Here's a tweet from Kamala Harris. If you're able to chip in now to the Minnesota Freedom Fund, for those of you who don't know what the Minnesota Freedom Fund is, we'll show you in just a second, to help post bail for those protesting on the ground in Minnesota. Now look at this. This is June 1, right around the time that the riots were happening, that the police were standing down, that all of those things were happening on out in Minnesota right after George Floyd happened, right? You guys remember that. So now we look at the Minnesota Freedom Fund, and who is the Minnesota Freedom Fund, Ryan?
The Minnesota Freedom Fund is it's a group that's bailing out all of these the rioters, all the people that are involved with burning down Minnesota. They are criminals, they're looters, and they are in Minnesota and all over the country. So yeah, Kamala Harris was actually advocating that we chip in and support rioters and criminals, and we bail them out of jail when they get caught doing illegal things.
And I want to read something, because not only do they bail out, misdemeanor disturbing the peace, which is not what these riots are, by the way, but they also, it says in this article you can look this up. There's a lot of evidence to this. Among those bailed out by the Minnesota Freedom Fund is a suspect who shot at police, a woman accused of killing a friend, and a twice convicted sex offender, according to court records reviewed by Fox 9 investigators. So this is a local channel. We saw Glenn Beck did something on this a while back, and I think we talked about this too. According to attempted murder charges, Jaleel Stallings shot a member of SWAT team during a riot in May. Police recovered a modified pistol that looked like an AK-47. Minnesota Freedom Fund paid $75,000, guys, 75 grand to
in cash.
Oh my God!
This guy out of jail. Darnika Floyd is charged with second-degree murder for stabbing a friend to death. $100,000 cash bail. Christopher Boswell, twice convicted rapist, no big deal there. Is currently charged with kidnapping, assault, and sexual assault in 2 separate cases, and they paid $350,000 in cash to get this guy out. Now, let me remind you who wants you to donate to this cause. If you're able to chip in now to the
I'll tell you who it is. It's not the president-elect vice president, right? That's
right.
But she does play one on TV.
She does play one on CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, LMBL TV, and any other place you can think of. She plays one right now.
Right.
Probably pretty soon, she'll be playing the role of somebody on Orange is the New Black or something. But right now, she plays vice president-elect. So anyhow, that is what I have on Kamala. Ryan, I know you had some other things. There were some fights maybe between Kamala and Joe at some point. Do you have a clip on that?
Yeah, the clip didn't pull up really well, so we're not going to use that clip right now. But it's a good segue, though. We can just talk about it a little bit, because it's interesting if you look back on the presidential debates earlier in the year when she was still aiming to be the president. Her and Joe Biden didn't get along at all. There was a lot of things that they disagreed on. She even used the words like, we are total opposites when it comes to that. So it's just kind of interesting to see that, the things that she disagreed so much with Joe on, now they stand together as TV actors, as a president-elect and vice president-elect, right?
Coming at you live from the office of the president-elect.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's a good segue, because a lot of what was, Kamala Harris's issues with Joe is, things with the rape allegations that went against Joe Biden, right? Joe Biden's kids. It's just weird, right? I think we all, we've already went there and saw that, and we know that he's a creepy, weird guy. But Kamala Harris had some problems with that, as well as with a lot of his racist comments. And like racism and racist is like a buzzword these days, right? It's like people don't even have the actual the true definition of where somebody mentally has to be to actually be a racist. And so it's just thrown around so much. But Joe Biden has actually on video as a politician made many, many comments. So let's go ahead and segue. I'll pass it right back to you, Jason. I know you got some clips and I got a couple good ones here too.
Yeah, before I bring my clip up, I just want to remind everyone that Kamala Harris really chewed Joe Biden out for his racism and for some of the comments we're going to talk about in a minute at the debate, like you were talking about. And there's a clip, you guys can look it up. I encourage you to do that because it really shows you how phony some of these people really are. And I'm going to share my screen with you, and I need to mute myself here. So here we go.
You have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
Oh.
We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor
You want to make it a little louder, Jason?
White kids, wealthy kids, black. We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. Wealthy kids, black kids.
You're on mute there, Jason.
Did you catch that this time?
Yes, we did.
So Joe Biden says poor kids are just as bright as white kids, Ryan. Nikki, poor kids are just as bright as white kids, right? I mean, that's a sensible thing to say. And what's really funny is he was speaking at an event for Asians and Hispanics. You know, only Democrats have an event that's actually held for a certain race because they're really the only racist party. But, you know, they're having an event for Hispanics and Asians of all things. And they're like, imagine being the Hispanic guy or the Asian lady, and you're sitting in the audience, and the guy comes up on stage and he says, "Well, you know, I just want to say, poor kids are just as bright as white kids." What are you even thinking as that person says that in front of everybody? And Joe Biden continues to say things like this constantly. I mean, this isn't something that people that is uncommon with him. In fact, his track record of racism goes all the way back to 1977, as far as I can trace it. Joe Biden worried in 1977 that certain desegregation policies, and I know that had something to do with busing and school of choice and different things, would cause his children to grow up in a racial jungle. So my question to you as the viewer is, do you see can anybody put in the comments how Joe Biden gets off calling everyone around, and Kamala Harris and both of them get off calling everybody around the country racist if they don't agree with them?
That's a great question.
Well, I mean, it's projection. We know that. That's Marxist 101, right? Projection. But my question is this, like, how does this happen? Because basically what they're really saying is if we don't agree with them, they're going to call us racist. But if we agree with them, we think that segregation causes racial jungles, and that poor kids are just as smart as white kids, and that if you don't vote for him, you can't even be considered black. You don't even qualify. You know what I mean? And yet I'm supposed to agree with this guy. And if I don't, I'm the racist. I want to show you something. That way, where my finger's pointing, is not down. That's up. Still, in 2020, it still means up that way. Down
so
is that.
You mentioned Joe Biden. I'm going to do a little screen share here back in the day. So let's take a look at something else that Joe Biden had said. And this was about a Supreme Court justice back in the 90s. Right.
Oh,
and here's our buddy Joe Biden. Let's take a look at what Joe had to say here.
Anybody who runs for the Supreme Court or is appointed to the Supreme Court, to be more precise, should understand I have not made my judgment based upon this proceeding because we have not heard all the evidence.
as a Black American, as far as I'm concerned, it is a high-tech lynching for uppity Blacks who in any way deign to think for themselves.
This is a major fraud in our nation. We want the law to be used in a proper manner. So we'll be going to the U.S. Supreme Court.
That's fun right there for a quick second.
Just had to leave that up there for a minute. No, but that's, did you see, does anybody watching this not see the hatred in this guy's face as he's saying that?
Nothing changed since the 70s and the 90s with this guy. Joe Biden has been a member of our political system in the federal government, get it, for 20% of the existence of the United States.
Ew.
Yeah. Think about that. Okay, we've been bamboozled, right? The general population has been bamboozled to think that this guy is something other than who he has showed us to be for 50 years. Okay, as a kid, you can maybe do some dumb things or say some things that is like out of character, and then you evolve into your grown self, right? I mean, that happens, right? Teenage years, even into your early 20s or something like that, maybe. Okay. But when you're in your 30s, 40s, and 50s, doing things like what Joe Biden has done for all of these years, that's who he is. And to think any different, you are being bamboozled. This guy is a racist. Kamala Harris is a racist. These people are fooling the American public, and they're using the mainstream media to twist your mind so that you believe the crap that they want you to believe. You are being bamboozled, America. Don't buy the nonsense.
Serious bamboozlement going on for years, and it just keeps it continues. We've been writing letters like I made my son. We've been writing.
What is this?
Chatfield. Ew. We've been writing Chatfield and Shirky. We're sending like 50 emails each. We called the number. The voicemails were full. People, I don't know how much more of this BS you have to listen to before you go, you know something? I have to get these a-holes out of our government. Pronto. Yesterday.
Right.
And again, like, guys, the thing about this is, like, this is not rocket science here. This guy has been who he is forever. And like Ryan said, all the way back to 1977, this guy spoke at Robert Byrd's funeral. And yet everyone calls Trump a racist. Everyone says I'm a racist. And Mike, I don't have to ask anybody, am I a racist? I don't have to prove myself to anyone. But actions speak louder than words. And when you see the left continuously, when you see the left continuously, like, call everybody a racist or call everybody exactly what they're doing. It's self-projection over and over and over again. And here we have Joe Biden, somebody who thinks he's been elected to the office of the president of the United States, who thinks that poor kids are just as bright as white kids. And if you don't vote for him, you ain't black. Nikki, did you know that?
Well,
did you vote for Joe?
I quit doing drugs a long time ago, way before the election, way before. And even if I didn't, even if I took a hit of ecstasy right now, I still couldn't get my finger to go for Joe. Can't do it.
Right. And so that's my point. So we see, and it is out there. So if you have a liberal friend, and I know we got a liberal friend on here, Ryan's shirt is here tonight. Welcome Ryan's shirt to the show.
Hey.
But no, if you have a liberal friend, share this with them. We are not attacking the people out there, like the populace who is bamboozled, who have been bamboozled. It's nothing more than that. And there's no shame in it. I've been tricked before, and I'll be tricked again before my days are done. But I can tell you this, that at the end of the day, this stuff is not hard to figure out. You see what I mean? This is not difficult. And when you look again, what is another thing? And I'm going to segue into our next section, Ryan. Moving on, we had some things happen in DC last weekend, and I wanted to get to those and make sure we talked about them. But what is one thing that the left also always accuses us of? I mean, the name of their group, right? Antifa.
Oh, yeah.
Accuses
us of being Nazis and fascists. Yeah,
and violent agitators and all of they paint this picture, even the CNN and all that, like they paint this picture of you and me sitting around and just thinking up ways to be more racist and more hateful today. Like I call Ryan in the morning, I'm like, hey Ryan, how can we get more hateful? Any ideas on how we could be more of a dink today? You know, and
yeah, to join the show. That's how you did it. You're
right. Well,
and you were like, "Hey, Nikki, what's going on? We're gonna add you to the show." You know what?
Right. And here's the thing about that, though. You guys have to understand this is what's happening in real life. So what they say is happening, what the media wants you to believe, and what people also, like all these trolls on Twitter and all over social media that have like cartoon faces and stuff, they want you to believe that we are the violent ones. But I want to show you what's really going on.
Got a screen share it here real quick.
Oh, my bad.
Counter protesters clashed with those who took out the president, even spoke.
Let it research. Here goes. Now, Ryan, have you ever thrown a live firework into a crowd of anyone?
No, nor will I be starting.
No. I've never done it on purpose. I mean, my family will tell you I've gotten a little crazy with some fireworks on 4th of July, but it's never been on purpose that I took a live mortar and chucked it into a crowd of people trying to eat their dinner. You know, and if you go here, Andy Nago is a fantastic journalist, and anybody who says he's not needs to really watch his stuff a little bit more often. This guy.
Wow.
There's nothing quite like attacking women and children. I couldn't find the other video that I saw the other day, but I saw Antifa actually kicking a stroller at the Million MAGA March last weekend, kicking a stroller. Now, tell me something. What did that kid do? Is that baby a racist baby? Can somebody, one of you liberals watching our show, tell me if that baby was a racist? Was it a fascist baby? Did that baby do something to you? Because that's my question to you.
Yeah.
You know,
there's not going to be an answer for that. It's white liberals, right? White liberals. They think that they're going to swoop on in and be on the BLM train, and they're going to come in and they're going to go ahead and save black people, right? Which is like, I don't want to go there because that's like a whole show all in itself, right? But here comes white guy, right, with the BLM shirt on, attacking a black lady and her kids, screaming Black Lives Matter.
It's like when my son and I went to the 2A rally in Lansing. We get out of the car. The people didn't even see what we had on from the front. They drove past us and they said, "Black Lives Matter, bitch." And I was just like,
so yeah, and so I want to show you something because people seem to diminish this. People seem to diminish what this really is. So I want to share my screen with you again and show you something. The definition of terrorism, and anywhere you look, it's the same. Like some of the definitions are changed by modern internet and stuff. Terrorism is the unlawful use of force or violence against persons or property to intimidate or coerce a government or its citizens to further certain political or social objectives. So when you see Antifa throwing fireworks into a crowd of people eating, when you see that, can you define that as terrorism?
I think so.
Can you define it as terrorism when somebody's pushing their kid down the street in a stroller and you're kicking the stroller and grabbing the woman's hair and screaming profanities up in her face, spitting all over her? Is that terrorism?
Indeed.
It is terrorism. And so I want to show you something else here that I think you'll want to see, because we had an election the other day, and in that election, you know, we had all kinds of disputes, and we had poll challengers and watchers, and the poll challengers and watchers were treated terrible. Now I want to show you what they do when an elector refuses to go with what they want.
The Secretary of State and the Attorney General have already tweeted out that your legal arguments are rubbish and you're going to lose when it comes to court. So we're not worried about that. Are bad, so we can't certify arguments, because that's just ridiculous. You certified in August when they were worse. Less than 50% of the ballots are recountable. Now over 72% are. 58%.
Guys, this is a Zoom meeting, by the way. This isn't just him on Twitter or something. This is actually, she's on this call.
We're even balanced when it was less than 30% last time. So it's doubled. It's gotten way better because the Secretary of State actually jumped in and did her job, unlike you. But I know it's not going to change your opinion. You talked about not certifying Detroit, even though you acknowledged that Livonia, a city, by the way, I know you know is 95% white, had bigger variances than Detroit, which is 80% black. We understand, and you now added your name. So I'm not going to try to change your mind. I just want to let you know that
here it comes.
The stain of racism that you, William Hartman, and Monica Palmer have just covered yourself in is going to follow you throughout history.
This is another work of art from the terrorist left and from the fascist left, who likes to call themselves left when really they're extreme fascists. This guy is, you're a racist. Now, what we have is a guy that's skin is translucent, standing up for you, Nikki. Do you feel like this guy's standing up for you? You feel like all right, let's keep going.
Our grandchildren are going to think of you like Bull Connor or George Wallace. Monica Palmer and William Hartman will forever be known in southeastern Michigan as two racists who did something so unprecedented that they disenfranchised hundreds of thousands of black voters in the city of Detroit because they were ordered to. Probably, I know, Monica, you think Q told you to do it or some other crazy stuff like that. But just know, when you try to sleep tonight, that millions of people around the world now on Twitter know the name Monica Palmer and William Hartman as two people completely racist and without an understanding of what integrity means or a shred of human decency.
A shred of human decency. They don't have even a shred of human decency. This guy is on the call with these people, intimidating them, threatening them, all because they're asking for a fair, valid election in the face of, we've had a lot of fraud presented to us, so we don't want to certify this yet. Anybody that's against
and now from here on out, everybody will know that Ned Stabler is a racist projector. Ned Stabler is an alt-left fascist piece of garbage who threatens people and threatens them over and over and over again, because that's who he is. Understand who Ned Stabler is, people. That's what really needs to be said. And Ned, let me explain to you that we have no qualms with letting everybody know who you are and maybe making some noise one of these days soon. So we'll see you soon, Ned. Anyway, the next item on our agenda is to continue moving on. What we have next is what is going on in the world. Anybody want to just kind of just tell me what's happening in the world right now?
What do you think, Nikki?
Oh God, where do I start? International interference with our election here in America, from the manufacturers of the voting machines to the people that decided to install them where they are, I mean, Hunter Biden, he's such a freaking drug addict. We're, like he's probably in there somewhere. He's probably snorting crank off the print. I'm just so disgusted, and I just can't take it anymore. Like, people are in office, they get $93,000 shirky. I mean, every year to do what? To sit around and lie, to look the other way when there's crap going on. We're supposed to stand up against tyranny, foreign, domestic. But what do we get when we do that? We get nowhere. Where's the DOJ? Where's the FBI? Where's the CIA? What are we getting? Rudy Giuliani is out here killing it. What are we doing?
Let's segue that into tyranny in domestic with the governors that we have. Okay. Let's you toss the banner up there real quick. We got a whole new set of lockdowns, restrictions. We're coming after your business, mom and pop shop. You aren't allowed to go ahead and conduct your business. We want to shut you down. Order your Amazon, baby. Deliver it to your door. Governors across the nation this week have taken it back to whatever means they have left. In places like Michigan here, Gretchen Whitmer's already been slammed down by the Supreme Court as unconstitutional, oath-violating tyrant. So she takes it to the Health and Human Services Department to go ahead and promulgate some stupid orders that match what she did with her executive orders. Other governors around the nation are following suit, and we see people like Gavin Newsom out in California that was one of the first ones to swiftly take out his pen and make it so that you couldn't gather for Thanksgiving, but he takes it upon himself to go have dinner with 12 of his other couples at a very fancy restaurant, gets caught on film, disobeying his own rules and regulations.
He got caught first. Right? He didn't get caught later. He got caught first, right? I just want to point that out.
Yeah, he did. He got caught first. And we actually have his apology here. Let's go ahead and pull his let's see.
While you're doing that, I'm going to address the question I just had on the screen.
Oh, yeah, go ahead and address it.
Hey, Ryan's only shirt. I'm talking to your shirt, Ryan.
Do it. I got a great shirt. I got a good shirt. My shirt's got my name on the inside.
Badass, brother.
Dig this, dude. Ned threatened an American patriot. Ned threatened an American patriot. And this isn't a threat. Keep pushing. Just keep pushing, alt-left fascist garbage. Keep pushing and see what happens. That isn't a threat. That's a promise. Now, you think I'm scared to come out and tell the truth? I'm not. You ain't scaring me, and you can tag anybody you want to tag and talk anybody. They know I follow the law. But you know what? When people are threatened, you have the right to defend another. So let me be there one day. That's all I got to say to garbage like Ned and his other buddy there in Hamtramck. Yeah, Hamtramck. Yeah, he lives in Hamtramck. I can give you the street, too. Don't mess with me when it comes to threatening patriots and trying to intimidate us, because I'm not scared. You know it. You guys follow us around like puppy dogs. You know we'll stand right in front of all you guys with your little masks and your shields, and you guys will back down, and we'll keep standing there. So that's what I got to say about that. Now, Ryan, move on to our clip.
Gavin Newsom. All right, we got a special little banner for this guy right here. We're going to go ahead and pull up this screen share here real quick. Let me dive into this. And this was after he got caught, right? He gets caught at the party, no masks, no social distancing, right? And he wants to come up with this fake nonsense garbage apology. Had me laughing. I played it over and over again. This guy's cracking me up. And this is why Californians are ignoring everything he's saying. And he's the perfect example of why patriots across the country that know this COVID-19 garbage is just that. And we need to ignore it. Follow his lead by his actions, not what he says.
I made a bad mistake. Instead of sitting down, I should have stood up and walked back, got in my car and drove back to my house. Instead, I chose to sit there with my wife and a number of other couples that were outside the household. And you can quibble about the guidelines, et cetera, but the spirit of what I'm preaching all the time was contradicted, and I got to own that. And so I want to apologize to you.
Yeah, you own that, Gavin. You own that one, buddy.
You know, this is one of the most disingenuous thing I've ever seen. You know, this is typical politician, and this isn't just. And I'll say this too. This is the same thing Shirky did when he came to our rally and wanted to speak. Remember that? He called a bunch of people on his constituents jackasses after the April 30th rally. So he called us and groveled and groveled and groveled, and we gave him a speaking spot, and he paid a bunch of money and all kinds of stupid stuff. And then the guy comes out, and all they're doing is trying to preserve their power. And this isn't about Republican and Democrat. Some of you guys think it is. It's not. I'll call Shirky out. He's garbage. That's right. Newsom is garbage. We're moving.
Good job, Shirk. We agree on that one, Shirk.
See, there's common ground. We can find common ground.
There you go.
Lee Chatfield. That's another. Yeah, Lee Chatfield is another one, right? We can. I got no love for any Republican or Democrat legislator that doesn't want to represent the people. That's the point. This is a representative government. These people are not representing us. Gavin Newsom writing a bunch of stuff from his ivory tower, and if he hadn't got caught, do you think he would have made that video?
Sure wouldn't. He did what he wanted to do.
Right. If he wouldn't have got caught, he would have stayed and had his, well, he did stay and have his drinks and his party with his friends. And I got no problem with that because I go everywhere without a mask, and I have.
Right. I'm right there with you, Gavin.
I'll go to Ryan's house.
Everybody else know that.
We'll go to a rally and we'll hug and we'll have a good time. I got no problem with that. But own it for real. That's not owning it. That's fake owning it. Owning it is going, hey, I don't believe a bit of this nonsense. I've been lying to y'all for 8 months, and take the mask off, get back to life, because that's garbage.
Yeah.
You know, and my beautiful wife says Chatfield is a fake Republican, and we all know that. Chatfield, actually, I got this from good authority, and I want to put this out there, and you guys can share it with everyone and anyone. I got this on really good authority from somebody close to him in the House that he wants Trump to lose because if he does, he's going to make a run at governor. That's something that Ryan, you know the source. The source is legit, and he's going to run for governor only if he can make Trump lose. That's why this whole impeachment thing. We've got Gretchen Whitmer up for impeachment, by the way. That's awesome, Matt Maddock and a bunch of are putting her up for impeachment. She's going to be gone, and then Chatfield's fighting it tooth and nail.
Aren't Chatfield and Shirky, didn't they get invited to go and meet with President Trump? Did I hear that right? Or was that some lamestream media?
It's got to be lamestream media. Trump doesn't want to have anything to do with those guys. Shirky and Chatfield both, they don't want to seem to talk to me anymore. We haven't been super nice to them because we continuously call them out, right? When it comes down to the root of our government, right? We need to be looking back at the Constitution. I remember having that conversation one day. Mike got mad at me. Well, if it's not your way, Ryan, then, you know, it's not the right way. I said, that's BS, Mike. And you know that it is because it's not your way. It's not my way. It's not the other guy or gal's way. It's the Constitution's way. That's what we are founded on. That is what the supreme law of this land is. Those unalienable rights guaranteed to all of the citizens of the United States of America need to be upheld. That includes the smallest things like the right of the people to peacefully assemble. You don't get to tell me how many people I can have Thanksgiving with. Period. You don't get to tell me how many people I can gather with outside of my home. Period. That's the rules of this country. If we start to bend those rules in any sort of way or fashion, it's going to continue to snowball into other things because you give up a little bit now, they're going to take a little bit more later. This COVID-19 test run, right, of let's see how many people will comply is only going to continue to snowball into them taking more and more of those unalienable rights away from us, right? That's going to bleed over into all facets of our life. So, it's not my way. And it never will be my way, nor should it be. And it shouldn't be anybody else's way. We look back to the Constitution and we need to uphold that as our way of life because under that Constitution, we can have the opportunity to thrive. If it's anything less than that, we are being oppressed. And don't be bamboozled to think anything differently.
And guys, listen, listen to me. This is not a Republican or a Democrat thing. I was talking to a friend of mine today that actually leans the other way. And one of the things that we talked about is that right there. 90% of our problems are the same. There's 10% there between the people that are always following us around, fighting with us. We want them to have their First Amendment right. Do we not?
I want them to have their 14th Amendment right, too. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges guaranteed to the citizens, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, and everyone gets the same protection under the law. I want all of them to have their 14th Amendment, too.
Boom.
So Article 6, Section 2 of the Constitution says that the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. It takes, this is not the actual text, but it takes this Constitution is the supreme law of the land, and it takes precedence over all other laws. If you make a law that goes against the Constitution, or a rule or anything that goes against the Constitution, then that law is notwithstanding, right? So when you talk about things like lockdown orders, or 10 people are allowed to gather for Thanksgiving, or this and that and the other thing, that are all these regulations that we're about to talk about, those are against the Constitution. You cannot take life, liberty, or property without due process of law. That's 5th and 14th Amendment, and now you use the supremacy clause, and you say anything that goes against that is notwithstanding, and you say, okay, so you can't say only 10 people can be at my house. You can't say, and they can't say that to Ryan's shirt. They can't say that to Diane. They can't say that to Elaine. They can't say it to me. They can't say it to Ryan or Nikki or anyone else that's a citizen of the United States of America, because we all have the same protections under the Constitution. And so with that, I want to bring up some of the other things. We have a crazy amount of weird stuff going on in our country right now.
Real talk.
Curfews, masks in your home, limitations on assembly, ignoring their own orders, like Newsom, taking pay raises as the economy tanks due to restrictions that you put out there. A ruling class mentality has taken hold in America. A ruling class mentality. And if any of you, doesn't matter right, left, or indifferent, any of you that think that a ruling class mentality is good, you say you're anti-fascist, but you want a ruling class that can tell you what to do. That's not anti-fascist. That is fascist. That's the definition of fascism.
Yep.
Governor DeWine in Ohio, he puts a statewide curfew. Now, let me ask you guys a question. Is there anyone that can put a reason in the comments why a curfew, what time of night it's better to spread a disease or not? Can anyone tell me?
COVID comes out at night, guys. COVID's gonna come out like the boogie monster. Gonna get
COVID comes out at night, right?
Yep.
But seriously, can anyone tell me why that makes sense? How that slows the spread of a virus? Or does anyone remember Michigan? I know Jane will. Jane loves Chatfield, by the way. She loves.
Oh yeah.
But Jane knows this. We have this ridiculous set of rules, right? We got curfews in Ohio. At one point in Michigan, you could use your boat if you took the motor off, because motors spread coronavirus, right? I think, can anybody tell me how a motor spreads coronavirus?
Really, really quickly, I guess, right?
Yeah, right.
Fast, move quick.
It jumps up out of the water and everybody gets sick. Or why can you not grow a garden at your home when you're supposedly locked in and it's for your own safety? Which, by the way, for your own safety is the famous last words of almost every fascist that has ever walked the face of the earth. We're doing this
safety and stuff, guys.
Pretty much.
Yep. So can somebody tell me how that works? Or if you come to Michigan, you got unconstitutional regulations here. 10, if we share the screen, you'll see you got 10 or fewer persons are gathered at a residence.
Oh, bite me.
You can only have 20 persons. You can have 50 or fewer people gathered somewhere, but you can only have 20 persons per 1,000 square foot. So if you
Sounds
think
like
about
a Joe Biden rally.
right, 1,000 square feet
Biden
by 100. So if you think about how much space, right? Yeah, it sounds just like a Joe Biden rally with the little circles drawn. I mean, that's what they want you to do for your Thanksgiving this year, right? But unfortunately for them, and unfortunately for the health department, which shouldn't even constitutionally exist, because the health department is an unconstitutional organization all the way around, none of this matters. So that's why I pulled this up. What happens if a law goes beyond or goes against the Constitution?
It's null and void.
That's notwithstanding, right? So does the Constitution say you have the right to peaceably assemble with 10 or less of you?
I don't remember reading that.
Yeah, it doesn't say it. I've read it a couple times. It says
Michigan Constitution has it as well, the U.S. Constitution and the First Amendment, but it's also part of the Michigan Constitution. And the thing is with our United States Constitution, is it lays out kind of how the government's set up in the beginning, and then it goes into the Bill of Rights. The Michigan Constitution starts right out with our rights. It lays it right out there in the beginning before it gets into the meat and potatoes. So call it what you want. I mean, it's there in both constitutions. You don't get to limit the right of the people to peacefully assemble, right? And that's where a little bit of personal responsibility, I won't get too far off onto this, but that's where a little bit of personal responsibility comes into play. If you don't want to get sick, you think other people are sick, stay home, stay safe, baby. If you, if you think you're sick, right, you probably shouldn't go around other people, COVID or not. When I've got sick in the past, what did I do? I stayed home. That way I didn't get other people sick. Hey, I can't make it to the meeting today. I'm not feeling well. Don't be stupid, right? Have a little bit of personal responsibility, right? And so that's really, what America should be. But instead, we have these tyrants trying to do all this crazy, ridiculous nonsense, and we have people complying.
Hey, Ryan, your shirt's calling Biden a president-elect.
He plays one on TV. He absolutely does.
The only one who thinks he's a president-elect happens to be a shirt who doesn't think at all.
That shirt's going to get its ass beat.
Mainstream media, right? So anyways,
I got to listen to some coronavirus idiotic things going on around our country. If y'all want to hear some more insanity regarding governors and how they have lost their mind thinking they get to tell anyone how to do anything.
Hey, Charles, something that I've learned a long time ago is that haters are free publicists. So thank you very much.
Right, keep up your watch time, y'all.
Right. So anyway, I want to move on to Tom Wolf. Now, I don't have his order in front of me, but he's got this business safety order. He's got all of this stuff. Basically, his latest order, and you can look it up, and I want you to. Don't trust me. Don't take me at my word. Look this up. And I want you to understand. His new order says, and this is scary to me. His new order says that you have to wear a mask in your own home if you have company over. I'm paraphrasing, but basically, if somebody from outside your household comes to your house, you all got to mask up, right? So. How are they going to enforce that, Nikki?
Well, the only thing I can think right now is I need a can opener to open that can of whoop ass because this is insane. They're going to really just march from door to door on Thanksgiving or the day before Thanksgiving. I mean, what are they bringing? Like, giblets and cranberry sauce? What are they doing? Did I hit the lottery? Do you have my lottery ticket? What the hell are they talking about?
It sounds crazy. And here's the thing, right? And I'm going to take a minute to go off topic and come back on topic because I think this is important. 8 months ago, everybody always calls me and Ryan and Nikki and people like us conspiracy theorists, right?
Yep.
But let me ask you a question. 8 months ago, 9 months ago now, if I said to you, well, in next month, there's going to be this virus that comes out, and they're going to make everybody wear masks, and they're going to shut down the entire economy based on it. And then when they're done with that, they're going to tell us we can't use our boats, and they're going to tell us not to grow a garden. And then some guy in Pennsylvania is going to make people wear masks in their own house with when people come by, and Newsom's going to have all these laws out in California, or fake laws, and then he's going to ignore them. And if I told you what was happening right now 9 months ago, you would have called me a conspiracy theorist. So when we said 3 weeks ago, and we've been right on a lot of things, right? We've been right on a lot of things. 3 weeks ago, or October 22nd, actually, we said that Joe Biden was going to pretend to win the election. Why did we say that? Because we watched the Amy Coney Barrett confirmation and a few other things, and the Democrats, every other word, were like, what are you going to do when Trump doesn't concede the election? What are you going to do if he doesn't have a peaceful transfer of power? Over and over and over again. And again, the left likes to use projection as their main weapon, right? Meanwhile, we had Hillary Clinton saying Joe Biden shouldn't concede under any circumstances. And now it's gotten even worse. We see the social media taking everything down that had to do with Trump prior to the election. Everything. And Facebook kicked me and my whole family off. They kicked Ryan off. They kicked Nikki off. Every leader from the American Patriot Council around the entire country was taken down at midnight the night before the Freedom March. Why? Because they don't want the information to get out, because then they can call us conspiracy theorists rather than truth tellers. And the fact of the matter is, we saw that on October 22nd on the show. I have a clip. You can, if you ask me for it, I'll send it to you. If you have a clip, then if you watch the clip, it says they're going to take everybody conservative off Facebook. And then they're going to say Joe Biden won the election. And then what they're going to do is put it on CNN. And all the news is only going to cover that Joe Biden won. And we're not going to, and people are going to believe it because they won't be able to see it. And there won't be any conservatives on Facebook. So now they're going to say, nobody, everybody on Facebook is going to believe only what they see. So they're manipulating the information. And now what we have is people pretending that Joe Biden won the presidency, exactly like we predicted it as they were projecting weeks ago. So now back to this fear that I had, because here's what I picture. I picture the secret police Nazi citizen living next door. They call her Karen or whatever, but she lives next door, and she's like, "Hi, is this 911?" 911's like, "Yes, it is." And she's like, "This is Karen again." And they're like, "Oh crap, Karen's on the phone."
There's 4 cars there now.
The neighbor has 4
Oh my
cars.
God, there's a bottle of wine and there's a cat.
There's 4 cars outside, and one of them I think is going to hit my cat when they leave, and I think they're inside dancing without masks on. And then the police are going to come to this house with their battering ram and their SWAT gear, and they're going to kick in the front door and, "On the ground now, Grandma, put down the cranberry sauce, get on the ground." And they're going to raid people basically over not wearing a mask in their own home or having more than 10 people in their own home. And you guys laugh. You call me a conspiracy theorist, right? And I actually think that probably won't happen till Christmas, because they're setting us up for it right now. And then on Christmas, that's when it's really, really going to happen. They're going to actually start raiding people for suspicion. Remember, we showed you guys the legislation they have waiting to be passed in New York City, and all they got to do is vote on it, and they'll win that vote because they own the House and Senate there. So in New York State, they have this legislation. Do you remember the legislation, Ryan?
I do. Yeah, I don't remember verbatim what was said on it, but yeah, they had. And basically, like, if we suspect that somebody that might have saw somebody that potentially could have been around somebody that might have had somebody's social media account as a friend that might have got COVID-19, you're suspected that we can come kick in your door and do whatever we please with and lock you up in a containment. And like, blows your mind, right? That there's a law passed that somebody would even consider something like that. Leave it to the liberals in those
Yeah.
So in those New York and California to pass these ridiculous laws.
Guys, we pulled it up.
What the?
It's out there somewhere. But yeah, these somebody said on here, I want to go back for a quick second. We've got a lot of comments from a lot of different people. Somebody said, can you explain what peacefully assemble means? I mean, if you haven't Googled, peaceful, right? I mean, things that won't pop up are like riot and looting and like burning cop cars and stuff like that. So that's definitely not it. And assemble means to get together, right? For people to come together. So you have the right to peacefully assemble, right? Mash the words together, compound sentence. There you go.
Well, I think it was, I believe it was the second or third episode that we had that we talked about this. But basically what it said was that they had the ability to detain anyone suspected of possibly having a communicable disease. And what's funny is this law was written in 2000, or this proposed law was written in 2018 and has been sitting in the Senate waiting to be passed since 2018. And so the 2018 legislation says that they can take you for suspicion or being in contact with, and they can hold you at a place, and they can hold you for a time, and there's no specific anything. It just says that they can arrest you basically for suspicion of having COVID-19 and hold you wherever they want to for as long as they feel like, based on the governor or any of his agents, basically.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that? And
I do, yeah.
And we actually pulled, if you guys want to research it, you can either look it up online or you could go back and watch episode 2 or 3 when we actually talked about the COVID timeline, and you can see what we had involving that, because that was important when it comes down on everything that we're doing. That was a huge part of it. We showed all of this legislation, and we showed the Michigan legislation, and we showed all of this unconstitutional stuff. But this is scary when they're talking about you got to wear a mask in your home and you can't go outside without a mask on. How long is it going to be before they convince the people that are stuck on CNN all day, like Ryan, your shirt, you got to tell your shirt to turn off CNN. But I know you throw it lands on the remote when you throw it in the room. But seriously, you watch CNN or whatever, and if you don't know, like literally you think you should tackle your neighbor and like hold him down until the cops get there because he doesn't have a mask on, he's going to kill everyone. I know nobody's going to contain me or detain me. It's unconstitutional, and we're going to make sure and restore. What's our mission? To restore and sustain a constitutional government in the United States of America. Say it again. We are going to. And guys, if you're watching this and you haven't signed up at the website for information or to join, let us, or you can do that, AmericanPatriotCouncil.org. I'll get that up for you. Got a lot of these. There it is. AmericanPatriotCouncil.org. You can go there, you can sign.
Oh, baby.
You can sign petitions to get put pressure on the DOJ. We are sending letters. We are actively seeking arrests of these criminals the legal way, because I know somebody on here always tags me on Twitter and acts like I'm trying to take the law into my own hands. We have done everything through all legal channels, and we continue to do that. But we are putting pressure on these public officials. Don't think we're not. We're getting them to show up at places. We're getting them to respond to what we're doing. We're getting them to act completely out of their mind, I think is coming from a lot of the pressure. And so I mean, that's one of the big things. And I wanted to show you guys again. Oh, we got it. Okay. Yeah. So then we talk about Como in New York.
Oh, God.
Now, the interesting thing about Como is his restrictions are kind of like Whitmer's. It's like Whitmer and Cuomo have played out of the same exact playbook. I mean, Newsom's close, and DeWine is nuts, and the guy in New Jersey's crazy, and Wolf is a tyrant, and out in Portland they legalized crack. So I mean, that'll tell you about Portland. But the thing is, Cuomo's just like Whitmer. He creates these weird laws that you can't, or not laws. He thinks they're laws. They like to project that they're laws out there. They constantly act as if they hold weight of law. The mayor of Chicago does that too. Her orders talk about.
What a demon.
Yeah. And they talk about this stuff, but it's all fake, guys. And that's what I'm getting to. This is all a show for you to be scared about.
Yeah.
This is all a show. Yeah, this is all a show. So when I'm sorry, I'm reading a couple of the comments here, but it's all a show, and they want you to believe that that you have to wear a mask. You go to the store. I go to the store all the time, and I don't wear a mask ever.
Hell no.
Ever. And nobody says anything. Once in a while, somebody asks me if I wear a mask, and I go, no, and I walk by, or I just ignore them and walk by, or I say, no, why do you wear a mask or something? And nobody says anything because there is no real law here. This is unconstitutional. It's not a law. You can't write laws at the health department. In Michigan, that's one of the big things too. Do you guys remember what the Supreme Court ruling was?
Yeah, it was 7-0.
7-0.
5-2. Wasn't 4-3. It was 7-0, which is why we want Lee Chatfield to get out of our way and allow Gretchen Whitmer to be impeached. Yep. We've got actual Republicans that are willing to do what's right and get her out of office because she's violated her oath of office. His ridiculous statement where, oh, we're not going to play like the same games that the Democrats did in Washington, D.C. against Trump. Look, they were on a wild goose chase. They had zero real grounded evidence against Trump, right? Zero. Otherwise, we would have seen it. We have real evidence, a Supreme Court decision by the Supreme Court of Michigan. You don't need other evidence. All you need to do is bring in that paper. I'll print out a copy of it for you and drop it on by. They ruled that she violated her oath of office and it was unconstitutional. Jocelyn Benson and Dana Nessel are in the exact same boat. She signed orders, and Benson put out a law enforcement and enforced these unconstitutional orders. That's violations right there of your oath of office, which are impeachable offenses. Add Lee Chatfield to the impeachment list and get him out of there as well. And while we're on Gretchen Whitmer, if I could share real quick, I thought this was fantastic, right? Whitmer fails to deliver real change to blacks despite promises and tasks forced, right? This is the Detroit News, y'all. Detroit News says that Governor Gretchen Whitmer is using the same techniques that the liberal white establishment has used for decades to pacify members of the black community. And yet we see no real tangible political advancement. Gretchen Whitmer is a hack job in every way possible. And I was driving down the road the other day in Detroit, and the roads were screwed up. I thought we were going to fix the damn roads. Right?
Yeah,
we have done all of those promises. She's a hack job that needs to be impeached. And I don't know why Lee Chatfield and these other no balls having Republicans can't get out of her way so we can do what needs to be done.
Woo! That's it.
Yep. And so at that, with that, it kind of brings us to closing. We've got to wrap this up. So the one thing that I want everyone to take away from this is you hold your own liberty. I want to talk about liberty for just a second. Liberty is, first of all, free will, right? We talked about this last Saturday too. Free will is the one thing that God gave us when we were created so that we could choose him or not choose him, because otherwise it's not love, it's slavery, right? Anything other than free will is tyranny, it's forced. And the worst thing you can do is own a person. So back to liberty. If you come back to liberty and you talk about my liberty, I have the individual liberty to do basically the way the Constitution was written and created, and now laws need to be taken off the books. There's too many. But it was written and created basically to give me the opportunity to do whatever I wanted that didn't harm anyone or put their life, liberty, or property at risk. And so if I don't put your life, liberty, or property at risk, I can do what I want. And if Ryan's shirt doesn't put my life, liberty, or property at risk, then it can do what it wants. And the thing about it, sorry, I'm trying to keep a straight face, but it can do.
Shout out to you people that are so obsessed with us, right? You just love the American Patriot Council. You love me. You're obsessed with me. You love Jason. You're obsessed with Jason. It's super sweet. Just keep it a distance on the internet and don't get weird about the whole situation. All right.
Yeah.
But seriously though, if Ryan's shirt, whoever that really is, I know there's a person on the other side, but whoever that really is wants to do whatever they want to do that doesn't harm my life, liberty, or property, then I have no right to stop them. If they want to hate me and call me names and I don't care. It's fine. Do whatever you got to do. Because it's not about me. And it's not about you. It's about my liberty versus anyone else's liberty versus anyone else's liberty. If you don't offend that liberty, then you should be fine. And so if you don't want to risk me getting you sick, it is within your liberty, your free will to stay 6 feet away from me. I'm never going to force you to come up to me. And I'm never going to force you to take your mask off if you believe that you need one. However, I don't get forced to wear a mask out on the public streets where I live either, because I have my liberty. And if we give up our liberty, we are already done. America is over with if people don't stand up and say our liberty is important, our elections are important. Whether Ryan's shirt agrees with me on who he wants to win or who she wants to win or it wants to win, I don't agree with somebody on who I want to win, we should both agree that this election should be proven. And if there's genuine doubt based on Facebook deleting everybody, based on people getting kicked out of the vote counting places, based on all of this evidence that there is evidence, real evidence, and by the way, without even getting into the paper evidence that we have, circumstantial evidence is admissible in court. And so with all the evidence that we have, this election, both sides, if you truly want America to stay free with a free will of the people, both sides should want this election audited and counted and done according to the Constitution. Because if it doesn't, then we have lost. If this election is stolen by either side, we have lost our free will. And now we live under a ruling class.
Can I share that list about the and it's each of the 50 states has ridiculous.
Yep. And why she shares this, I want you to think about your liberty and see if anybody has tried to take your free will from you this year.
Can you see it?
Now we can.
List of coronavirus-related restrictions in every state. If people aren't disgusted, pissed, sad, hurt, you have to feel something. This is ridiculous. We have everything from, if you're age 6 and up, you must wear masks indoors while using transport service or outdoors if more than 10 folks are together. From that to everybody has to cover their face in public unless you're under the age of 2 or you actually have certain medical issues. Colorado, mask mandate is still in effect. If you're 11 and up, you have to cover up in public. If you're in this state, blah, 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 and it just goes on and on and on. Connecticut, Delaware, it's everywhere. It's not one place. It's not a city. It's not a town. This isn't where they found out about Legionnaires and they had to do something different. And then here's how social distancing helps everyone. We already talked about how the word social and distance, they don't go together. Just like inner and city, they're things that these people created. And I'm not even going to call them people anymore because I really think they're demons. I don't know if they did a blood oath. I don't care what it is they did. We have to stop we have to stop saying, you got to stop reasoning with people that they have no logic. They have no reason. They have an agenda. That's what they're out for. They don't care. I saw a picture of the Chicago mayor. This was a gorgeous, gorgeous, beautiful woman in a high office. I was so proud to see that. But hold on, I didn't actually see what she looked like. I see this demonic rings under the eyes. We got to do this. We got to control people. We have to make people know. We don't. We're not doing any of that crap. We the people, okay? The Constitution is the highest law of this land.
So that's
right.
One thing really quickly. That Republicans have limited liberty. There's
Republicans
no doubt.
They're a bunch of clowns.
Yeah, dude, listen, 90%, I would say not 90%, but a high percentage, I can't give you an exact, of Republicans are pansy, weak sissies that won't stand up for their constituents. So while the left is strong and has good qualities as far as standing up for what they believe is wrong. I'm sorry. but the right doesn't stand up for anything. A lot of them are jellyfish. So yeah, the governor in Vermont absolutely has done some horrible restrictions and things. So don't think that we're sitting here just picking on Democrats. This is about the Constitution. That's right. 99% of them are weak and can't get anything done. And here's what, I'll end with this, because Ryan and I, we had this conversation 8 months ago about maybe a little less than that when we were planning the April 30th rally. Remember we talked about the look at the moon conversation?
Right.
So this is what Democrats do, and this is what Republicans fall for. Democrats will introduce a bill that says, like, oh, well, you can't look at the moon on Tuesday, and on Sunday you have to wear black pants, or either that or you have to put $1 in your left shoe. And then you got to put on spaghetti for Tuesday all across the state unless you're having grilled cheese. And it'll be all this crazy stuff. And then buried 297 lines into the bill, it'll say, oh, and we can kill your children if we want to. And I know I'm exaggerating, but it'll say some crazy thing that they want to slip into the middle of the bill.
Containment infrastructure.
Yeah, containment infrastructure. But that was introduced by the Republicans. But anyway, they'll introduce this bill, and then in there's this crazy thing in the middle, right?
Yep.
And then what they do is they go, okay, listen, we'll give you the moon, and you can have spaghetti on Wednesday and Tuesday if you want. And then what the Republicans do is they go, all right, you got a deal. And so then they come out of the chamber and they go, we won, we can still look at the moon. And what they don't realize is they just signed off on them killing all our kids or some crazy thing.
And it's not that far off.
No, and the Republicans do that time and time again. We won. No, you didn't win. You gave up everything but one stupid thing, and they played you, because that's why they put the stupid thing in the bill in the first place. You know, like, how dumb do you got to be?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, Ryan, your whole closet's showing up today.
That's awesome. I'm super excited about that, right? I mean, it's great. It's fantastic, right? Keep it online. Keep the comments coming. If you want, I'll give you some homework to run around.
I got a question for Mall Crane.
Yeah, who is that?
What is there something bad about a patriot? If you're saying, because what we're saying is that patriots are people that love their country, whether they're Democrat or Republican. Back in the day, Democrats had a different view and Republicans had a different view, but everybody loved the American flag. Now you got Antifa running wild in the streets and people going crazy, doing all kinds of wacky stuff. Yeah, so I mean, what is the problem with being a patriot?
That's a great question.
just some of the dumbest things I've ever. I mean, my brain cells hurt right now reading some of these comments. Yeah. But anyways, we got to wrap it up. We're way over. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Come back same time, same place next week, and we'll have some great stuff to talk about and probably be celebrating a Trump presidency. But we will talk to you next week, and you guys make it a great day, and we love y'all.
We love you. We'll all be shirtless next week.
Don't be bamboozled.
Don't be bamboozled.